What is up, guys? The fall 2023 anime season is taking off. We have over 66 anime titles for you to choose from. And yes, not everybody has time to watch all of those. Honestly, I don't either. But I have taken the time to go through all these titles to figure out what is the cream of the crop. My top 10 favorite shows of the fall 2023 anime season so far. And honestly, this has been a very, very difficult season because unlike other seasons that have a plethora of shows to go through, sadly, most all of them are crap. And so it's really easy to choose what are the best of the best. This season we have everything from questionable age gap romance, Fire Force without the demons, a detective that forces stalker victims to drown themselves, creepy twins that swap places in bizarre ways, that show where that guy got involved with a death game by exposing himself in front of a classmate. We have more animal girls with guns and crying cat girls, the how-to guide to Ninja a Bra, the adventures with the girl that has a dad complex, Yuri Idol vampires, My Senpai is Full of Holes, terrible esports commentary, another show about the weakest skill being OP, My Hero Academia but with cute girls and not ugly boys, my boss bought me medicine for menstrual pains when I had a tummy ache, another show with a male protagonist that doesn't want to bang, a show about a girl that has the power to cause a volcanic eruption when you grope her, making lewds in 16-bit, Goblin. The show with the only girl that would show her underwear to a pig. My Next Life distributing questionable liquids. World's Best Wingman got me 100 waifus. Aphrodisiac Brownies, Solely the Palace. The only MC who would decline 100 Beast Girls. Oh yeah, and now Fumi returns to remind people that Rudius isn't that bad of a dude by buying an entire village of people. That and more and more and more. Such a crazy, crazy season, but without further ado, you want to know what's the best. And I'm here to do that for you. I'm going to go through my top 10 new shows of the fall anime season so far, and additionally, I'll get into returners and continuing series that I'm excited about. So without further ado, let's jump into it. From number 10, I have Migi and Dolly. I absolutely love this show. It's super creepy, but in a really, really good way. It's a series that was created by the creator of Haven't You Heard I'm Sakamoto? And for sure, coming into the series, I get that aesthetic. I get that feel in it. Rest in peace. They are absolutely incredible at doing really bizarre things in incredible ways. And I think the thing that I love most about Migi and Dolly is it opens up with this idea of these two orphans that are twins, and sometime in the past, their mother was murdered. And when they hear that somebody is adopting somebody from the town that their mother was murdered in, they decide to pull out all the stops in order to get adopted, but they only want to adopt one of them. So the other one has to kind of go in hiding. And they're always hiding in the shadow of the home as they're trying to gain favor of the family. Additionally, get out there and investigate other people to try to find out where they were at, where they were raised at, and again, find out who killed their mother. But again, the crux of this show, the cool thing about this show is that it's super bizarre and creepy. The music playing in the background, the characters themselves are super creepy, and all the things that they do are just always above and beyond. Like I said, it's that Sakamoto vibe, that idea of like doing things that are incredible but stupid in incredible ways. Like the example I give is like really early on, they have this whole point at the dinner table and they're wanting to swap places because one is full and the other one's under the table hungry. So they do this weird thing where they lock arms and feet and just kind of do this loop-de-loop on the chair. And it's just, again, it's so weird. It's just so weird. This whole situation where they wanted to be raised by the father on their shoulders to put a birdhouse up. And so they do this whole thing about covering his eyes and having one pull the other one up with their weight. It's super weird. And like I said, just absolutely creepy in a very addictive and amazing way. And I cannot get enough of it. It's a fantastic series. I don't know that it's going to be for everybody. I think early on, a lot of chatter here and there was like, what is this show and what's the point of it? It's like, if you're not getting it, just don't worry about it. Just walk away. It is one of those very difficult shows to recommend, but it's a show that I adore it. I love this creator. They're so fantastic. Even with Sakamoto, Haven't You Heard I'm Sakamoto? That was a series where when I watched it, I was like, this is going to get old, but it never did. Like every time they just pulled off something that was fantastic. But yeah, highly recommend Migi and Dolly. Moving on to my number 9, I have Undead Unluck. This show is just pure characters. Like there's some shows that like it's the story, it's the world building, it's something else, but this show is just literally, for me, the enjoyment is the characters. I think Fuko, which is the main girl, and Andy, who is the guy that's dragging her around, are just, their chemistry together is so fantastic. And yes, there's a lot of people out there that'll probably find offensive to what they're doing here, which is the kind idea that Fuko has the ability of unluck. And if somebody touches her, it causes unluck to the person. And so horrible things will happen to them if they touch her. And so she's afraid of touching people, and she even wants to end her own life because of it. And then you have this guy showing up named Andy, who his power is undead. He wants to die, and so he's wanting to use her to cause a massive amount of unluck to him so that he'll die. And so he's constantly grabbing her and touching her and trying to figure out, how do I cause so much unluck that I will be destroyed? Even goes so far as a kiss on the cheek can cause a meteor to come down and land on the earth. It's just that, it's that over the top. But the chemistry of the two of them together is fantastic. It's just like this awkwardness that he's like super like high energy and she's just, get away from me. And then over time you get that like bond that's forming between them through just odd circumstances. It's kind of one of those shows where its joy and its chemistry and its build is by how awkward the two of them are together. And then you have this whole backstory about this idea that there's this organization that obviously kills or captures people that have special abilities, and so they're after them. And so the idea that they come up with is, well, we'll just have to kill two of the people of that organization, and then we'll get employment there, and then we won't get hunt down anymore. And so it's kind of turned this whole thing of taking down this organization to be a part of it so that you don't have to worry about being hunted anymore. It's crazy, and David Production is just going nuts. Like, David Productions is doing an absolutely incredible job with this show, and it's a high-action show, so having a lot of great animation, great perspective shots, a lot of the style and everything to it itself is just, it's hitting on all cylinders. This show is literally hitting on all cylinders. It's just a fun show to watch. I don't know if the story will get better. I've heard that this story gets really good over time. So if I'm enjoying it now just for the chemistry, the bonkersness of it, and the fun of it, yeah, I'm going to probably love it as it actually starts to pick up. It seems like it's starting to get in there with this idea of people that Andy has known from the past. He's been around for a long time, so there's people that he does know. And I don't know if that's right now, but we'll see. But I'm loving it so far, and I cannot wait for more. For my number 8, I have Buta Reba, or Heat the Pig Liver. This show is a big shock for me. I honestly did not think I was going to like this show. It was mainly because I'm not a fan of Kirito's voice, even though he's an incredible voice actor. I'm just not a fan of him anymore. But, my gosh, Buta Reba is... It's basically exists because he's doing such an incredible job voicing, yes, an otaku that has been isekai'd into the body of a pig in a different world that is full of discrimination and magic and all this other kind of stuff. And yes, he's being taken care of by this somebody that is of a race that is discriminated against, and they're pretty much forced to forced servitude. And this girl has lived her whole life doing anything everybody asks her, and so she has the ability, because of her race, to read his mind. And all the perverted thoughts that he has and all the things that he wants to do to her that she reads from his mind and just goes, okay, I could do that for you. And it just turns into absolute shenanigans. This show is pretty much 95% is the dialogue exchange between Pig and Jess, which is this girl. And their chemistry with each other is so fantastic. Yes, a lot of that humor and that chemistry is around the idea of him having all these perverted thoughts of her, him just going on this long internal dialogue about them walking down this roadway and her skirt flickering up and him possibly seeing a fabric. But it's in her responses to everything because, again, she's hearing all of this that just makes it so great. And yes, it gets into the aspect of how Jess is being treated so poorly in this world, and yes, a possible dark aspect of what's going to befall Jess that this guy wants to protect. But as a pig, what can he do? So he's having to use his mind and pretty much communicate to her things that she should do in order to get out of bad situations. And so far, how it's pulling that off as well is doing really well. There's a couple times where I'm like, this guy sucks at trying to talk her through something. But I think that's going to be the whole shtick going forward, is that chemistry between the two of them. And additionally, him trying to get her through some really bad situations that she might be facing, basically. I'm super intrigued by it. That other 5% is like the world itself, and that everybody uses these gems that can grant prayers or do different elements or different magical spells. And my theory and the idea of where those gems come from could be really interesting. But so far, it's just the chemistry. It's just super fun. And yes, the Seiyu for Pig is just nailing it. This is kind of one of those So Must Spire So What situations where Aoyuki made that show. He's making this show. It's just an incredible show. I'm having so much fun. I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I am, but again, it's all about that goofiness that is coming between these two characters, and I'm just eating it all up. But yeah, Buta Reba, definitely recommend it. Moving on to my number 7, I have Tearmoon Empire. This show, thank goodness, is as good as it is. I think for the last few seasons, I've been kind of getting a little bit upset at the overabundance of villainous isekais that don't really turn into something good. Now, this isn't a villainous isekai, don't get me wrong, but it's got that same flavor to it. It's the idea of this princess of this kingdom. At one point in her future, she ends up being overthrown and they have her beheaded. But once she gets beheaded, she wakes up in the body of her 12-year-old self. And so she's like, oh, wait, maybe it was a bad dream. But then she discovers her diary sitting right next to her covered in blood, realizing at that point, no, it probably wasn't a dream. But it kind of turns into one of those things where this girl, she's not like a good person now. It's not like she goes, well, don't want to do that again, better be super nice to everybody. No, it kind of turns into one of those things where it's like she still wants to be super selfish and her old self, but she's realizing all these flags that, yes, she experienced before. And she's got this book that kind of guides her along the way. And it kind of turns one of those things where it's not so much her going, okay, I'm going to make all the princes love me or whatever. I'm going to make sure this person that came to kill me likes me now. No, it's kind of turns into more of the idea of I want to avoid this entirely. Like, I'm going to get away from this person. So it's what makes it so great is that unlike most villainous isekais, where it's this concept of I know all the flags and thus I will be nice to everybody and be the super nicest person ever, it's more of a she's still kind of selfish, but she just wants to kind of avoid the issue altogether. And so you still get that sense of her being kind of diabolical. But sprinkled throughout there is the realization points of, yeah, I kind of was scum. Like this one example is the idea that when she was in prison for 3 years waiting for her execution, one maid came to see her. This one maid actually stayed loyal to her, and she was super nice. So yeah, Mia's like, this person was the only person nice to me, so I'm going to bring them in and nurture them. And so it turns into something really sweet, seeing all these little flashbacks of all the things this maid did for her and the joy that it brought her in her darkest moments. It is quite a bit of this idea of redemption. The idea that she was a nasty person, she did horrible things, but now she's realizing the wrongs of her ways. And yes, trying to use her knowledge for her benefit, in a lot of cases backfiring on her. A good example is this guy that does all the taxes and stuff like that. She confronts him and says, I want you to, what would you do to fix the taxes in this world? Because that's one of the reasons she died. And he's like, well, you don't want to listen to me. You're wasting my time. And she basically blurts out all this stuff that she wrote down previously to get back at him for, threw his own words at him, basically. And so he goes, man, you're a genius. You don't need my help. And it's like, oh, crap, that's not what I meant to do. I just want to throw it back in his face to prove that I wasn't stupid. It's got a lot of fun stuff in there. I just like how they're sprinkling back and forth the idea of what she did, how she's going to remedy it. But it's not always the idea that I need to make everybody love me. It's more of an idea of I want to get out of the situation. And I think that's a nice twist to the whole thing. Still having that selfishness in there, still having those redemption points in there, and seeing how her path kind of changes things that were done before that caused her downfall. It's been really enjoyable, and I'm really looking forward to more of it. But yeah, Tearmoon Empire, recommend it. Moving on to my number 6, I have Yuzuki Family's 4 Sons. This show is a personal treat for me. It's an absolute personal treat for me. It's sadly one of those shows that I know is not going to get much viewership. It's a slice of life. It's about brothers, not cute girls. So it's got like a few things kind of working against it. But for me personally, as somebody that has brothers, no sisters, this thing hits home. Something that I massively can relate to. It's a series where it's 4 brothers that are basically living alone. Now their parents have passed away. The eldest brother took them in, didn't want them to be separated, and he's taking care of them. And it's kind of following each of these brothers and how they deal with their new life. And the idea that, you know, you have one brother that just wants to help the eldest brother because he knows he's overworking himself. You have the second brother who, yes, used to hate his third brother, but kind of gotten that realization point at some point that he wanted to nurture his brother rather than just hate him and push him away. You get the youngest son and how he's seeing the effects of this whole situation to everybody and how he meets the neighbors, and the neighbors super cool. There's a lot of great stuff in here that is about family. It's about the community. the people around you that want to extend their hand to help you out. This idea of this neighbor that just finds it super heartbreaking that they went through that loss and just wants to help in some way, but he doesn't know how to communicate. There's all these things kind of sprinkled throughout there that just is super wholesome. At the same time, having those moments where you're like, yeah, brothers kind of lash out at each other. There's those difficulties that brothers can face when they have to deal with another brother. The attention that one can get over you. The jealousy that can kind of drive you. Those frustrations that you can have with your brothers. All those things are sprinkled throughout there. And it all culminates into this really fantastic look into a family that, yes, again, based on my own experiences, is super raw and is doing a fantastic job of portraying it. I love these characters. I love their stories. Like episode 2 absolutely wrecked me. Episode 3 was super sweet. This is peak slice of life storytelling that I cannot recommend enough. This show is so good. The comedy's great. The drama's great. Everything is fantastic. The characters are phenomenal. I highly, please go watch Yuzuki Family. Again, I know it's not going to get much viewership because, again, it's a slow slice of life type show, but it's just pulling it off. And visually, it looks fantastic as well. Moving on to my number 5, I have my sugar show of the season. I have to have a sugar show every season. The show that just makes me smile. The show that I just want to root on the characters, adore the characters, all that good stuff. And Stardust Telepath is definitely that show for me this season. I absolutely adore it. Umika is essentially this girl that has troubles communicating with people. She feels like she's an alien on Earth amongst other humans. She can't communicate to them. She just wants to leave and go meet aliens, mainly because she can't verbalize herself. And so she feels the best way to communicate to people that people will understand her is a race of people that can read minds, to use telepathy. And so she wants to one day leave Earth. Well, she gets kind of a wish because this girl randomly shows up at her school, transferred in, and she claims to be an alien, and this is Yu. And Yu is super energetic, super positive, always running around, and again, is okay with telling everybody that she's an alien. She can speak alien tongue and everything. Well, the two of them meet, and through their conversations, eventually, Umika realizes that Yu is this alien, and that this alien forgot her mission, but she crash landed on Earth, and she needs to return back to her people, and she's going to hang out for a little bit. And on the other end, Umika's like, okay, bring me with you. When you leave Earth, bring me with you. And they get into kind of building rockets themselves. So they do bottle rockets and stuff like that, all the while kind of hoping that one day they can actually make a spaceship and leave Earth. And it's just super cute. Again, it's a lot to do with the fact that Umika has a lot of difficulties in communicating with people. And Yu is somebody that is able to either draw that out of her or, she claims, can read her mind. Touch her forehead to Umika and she's able to read her mind. It's just super sweet. There's a lot of aspects here of realizing there is opportunity with those that are around you, essentially. As Umika is meeting somebody like Haruno, who is kind of the opposite of Umika. Haruno asks Umika, okay, what would you do if aliens really did exist? And Umika says, I'd want to leave this horrible world. This world that I feel like locked down in, this prison of this world. I want to leave here and be with the aliens. Whereas Haruno sees it more of the idea of, I'd want to welcome them down so they can meet all the beautiful people and places of this world. They have an opposite there. And you sort of see, as they spend time together, that Umika's slowly opening up and realizing how much fun she's having and the bonds that she's creating. It's just, again, super sweet, super cute. Love it how visually, it's got a little sprinkle of Yuri in there if you're looking for that as well. But yeah, Stardust Telepath, absolutely loving it. Moving on to my number 4, I have 16-Bit Sensation. This show is super great. I think there's so much about this show that just absolutely resonates with me and just has me really excited for every single episode. Opening up, you have this girl named Konoha, and she's working for this company making Bishoujo games, but no, they're all pretty much hypnosis, big MILF character type of hetero games. And she wants to make like the old visual novel games, the old Bishoujo games, the Clannades, the Canons, these games that she grew up with. She loves cute characters, and she loves the stories in them. She's an illustrator that hopes that one day she can have her heroine character that she created come to life in a visual novel. And so she really desperately wants this company to do something besides cheap bargain bin hetero games. But they fortunately don't have the budget for it, and they don't want to do it. So thankfully for her, one day she finds herself back at 1992 and just transported back in time. And she goes back to where her company was, ends up finding this other company there, and they're making a visual novel. And so she goes in there, tells them that she's from the future, but they don't believe her, obviously, but then says that she wants to work there for free. And she gets to actually work on a project they're working, but unfortunately, not with her tablet, not with all of her computer technology that she's used to from our current times, Japan. No, with like old 16-bit computers and the old paint programs where you had to click one by one, each pixel, a different color. You have to do things like dithering and stuff like that for color effects and stuff like that. It's definitely a different world for her. But she loves it because this is something that she loved. This is like an environment of game making where everybody's kind of a group and together and everybody loves what they're doing. That's the thing that's kind of inspiring her. That's what she's enjoying so much. And so, yeah, it's been fantastic. I will admit that Konoha is a bit loud, but I love her. I think she's super cute. She's super energetic. She's passionate. That's what I get from her. She's passionate. And I think what this story overall does is kind of show you that nostalgia for the old ways of things. It's showing this old technology and this old love for Bishoujo games that's unfortunately being lost in gaming right now, is that most visual novel companies gave up that stuff. They're making mobile games and stuff like now, right? Like right now, the biggest company out there, Key, the one that made things like Clannad and Canon, they're making mobile games now. It's a lost art. It's a lost genre of gaming, of these old games of these cute girls that have troubles, but they overcome them because they're strong and they have that determination to change their lives. Something that Konoha loved that's being lost to mobile games and anime and stuff like that. And so she's relearning it. Additionally, it's got this aspect of it. It's almost like a Shirobako, which is an anime that is about the animation studios and how they make anime. It's kind of like that, but for visual novels. Getting to see these insights about how technology and stuff worked back in the day. Yes, kind of getting glimpses of different time frames and different technologies that they used to have to work with in order to make stuff. Again, working with 15 colors, and that's it. You couldn't have like an array of hundreds of colors. You had to stick with this one little panel and how they put that together, how they scan in, use grayscales, and all this kind of stuff. It's a really cool insight into the technologies and what they did to make these games that people love. It's a really cool little insight, and I absolutely love it. Just great little setup so far. The chemistry so far is pretty solid. I hope that we get more of the characters going forward, but so far I think I just love it just based on the nostalgia, the old technology, the insight, and all that kind of stuff of it. And yes, the passion that Konoha has for this kind of stuff. But yeah, 16-bit sensation, another layer. Definitely recommend it. Moving on to my number 3. I have 100 Girlfriends Who Really, 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 Really Love You. This show is so fantastic. It's got a great style to it. It's just got a lot of great comedy to it. But the biggest surprise of it all is it's got so much more heart in it than I really kind of expected. Yes, we have a lot of harem shows. It seems like it's kind of a dying trend anymore. I mean, most of it's kind of hidden away in isekais and stuff like that. But like a pure harem show, one guy with a whole bunch of girls, it's kind of getting rare. And I think a big reason for that is that they don't have the appeal that they used to have. There's not enough creativity behind it. And 100 Girlfriends Who Really, 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 Really Love You is an example of showing that sort of formula, but evolving it in a way and doing something new with it that's very creative. Basically opens up with this one guy that has tried to get girlfriends, 100 girlfriends, and every single one of them has rejected him. It's just he has no luck. The one day he ends up running into this god, and the god tells him, yeah, I kind of messed up. There is soulmates out there. Everybody's destined to have a soulmate. There are some people that won't have a soulmate, but most everybody has a soulmate. And eventually you'll find yours. But oh, by the way, I messed up. I was doing your card, filling out your card one day, and I was watching a TV show, and I accidentally put down that you're going to have 100 soulmates. And so make sure to like them. And he's like, okay, that's crazy. And then, oh yeah, by the way, if you don't return their love, disaster will befall them. They'll basically die. And so that kind of forces Rintaro, okay, not only am I going to have my soulmate, but I'm going to have 100 of them, and if I don't return their love, they're going to die. That sucks. Very quickly ends up running into two girls, Hakari and Karane, and the two of them immediately have the zap of soulmate. These are the two. These are two of my soulmates. And over time, you kind of get that sense that, yes, he does actually care for them. He actually loves them, and he wants them both, but he doesn't want to hide it from them. He's very vocal, like, okay, can I have both of you? And in their own way, the two of them actually agree. Later on, we get this appearance of Shizuka, who is this girl that in the library that has difficulty in communicating. And over time, he kind of falls in love with her as well. And she was one of the soulmates. So he brings her into the harem. It's kind of that whole thing. Now, like I said before, the thing that makes this show so great is, on one hand, I think the chemistry and everything so far is fantastic. But on one hand, Rintaro is a very rare case of a harem protagonist that you're like, I like that this guy gets the girls. Like, he's a good guy. Like, typically with these harems, they're a ditherer, they're stupid, you don't understand why the hell these girls like them so much. But Rintaro is an example of a character that just, you root for him. you understand why these girls like him so much. He goes above and beyond to aid the girls and show his love to them. And so it kind of makes sense that they love him so much. Additionally, you have this concept that is creating this interesting twist to everything, that these characters are all kind of linked to him. But on the other hand, the other thing that makes this so unique is that there's a lot of heart in here. And it's partly because of that first thing, that Rintaro is a good person, he'll go above and beyond. But it has these stories within there that are actually impactful. And Shizuka is a prime example of that. It's this kind of trope concept of a girl that has difficulty in communicating. They'll hold something up to communicate through something else. It's something that has been done a lot. Typically, it's a character that has to write everything down and show the person what they're saying because they can't speak. But there's a lot of depth to her character and the struggles that she went through, the bullying that she went through, the fact that her mother abused her because of it. And it all coming down this moment where Rento goes above and beyond, putting all this entire book that she memorized that she's talking from, because she'll point out a line in a book that she's read a bunch. He put the whole book inside of this e-reader and has this text-to-speech so that she can actually have a voice. He's not forcing her to finally open her mouth. He's showing her a different option that she can do so that she can still look somebody in the eye while speech is coming out. And it's super cute. It was a really great little story that they kind of presented there. And like I said, it shows that there's more to this than just guy gets a bunch of girls. There's heart in here. Mixed in with, yes, the comedy of these characters seemingly fighting over each other. I mean, yes, seeing Hakari and Karane and their reaction to things and how they constantly are at each other's throats, there's a lot of fun to be had here despite that. And yes, a lot of the comedy and ecchi and all that kind of stuff has been really fantastic so far. It just kind of adds that little extra mix in there as well. Visually, it looks fantastic. I love the character designs. Just everything's kind of hitting with this series, and I just cannot wait for more. It's a series that every week I'm looking forward to. But yeah, 100 Girlfriends Who Really, 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 Really Love You. Highly recommend. And that gets us into my top two. These two are these were easy. Like when I was making my top 10 list, it was like, okay, these for sure get on here. Like these two right here for sure are on this list. No absolute doubt there. But yes, number 2, Apothecary Diaries. This show is everything I want it to be. Like I was in love with this show when I seen the PVs. You have Aoyuki being the seiyuu of the main girl, just the visuals of the PV itself, everything, the time, it's basically a period piece, like ancient China, alternate universe ancient China. Everything was like hitting that this show is going to be fantastic. And then when I finally watch it, they dropped 3 episodes. I watched all 3 episodes and I'm like, holy crap, they had me in tears. It had me laughing. I was just hooked from beginning to end. This show is absolutely amazing. It essentially opens up with this girl who is doing this, Mao, she's doing this little delivery and she ends up getting kidnapped and sold by these bandits to the inner palace. And she's working in the inner palace as a low servant. And she's basically talking about all the different things. They have all the concubines there. The king himself has 2 princes on the way. They get sick. And then, yes, because she used to be an apothecary, because she used to test medicines and poisons and stuff, she very quickly picks up on what's ailing the 2 concubines and their children. And she has to go out of her way to kind of throw hints at them in order to inform them that it's this face paint that they're using that's poisoning them. Because she does this, she ends up catching the interest of this, pretty much this manager of the rear inner palace, which is Jinshi. And he gains a lot of interest in her. And additionally brings her to one of the concubines so that she can thank Mao Mao for saving her child. And that's the point where she becomes the lady in waiting for this lady. And what kind of precedes this is all these different kind of mysteries about the inner palace that it is, in most cases, brought to her by Jinshi, and she has to figure it out. Use her knowledge in medicine and poisons and stuff to resolve the situation. And all the while, Mao just does not want to get involved with really anything. She's kind of getting forced into things. She just wanted to keep her head down, and hopefully after 2 years, she gets out of there and she doesn't have to be a part of this. She knows that things are cutthroat in here. They knows that, these concubines can have other concubines killed. Servants can be blamed for it. There's just a lot of nasty things happening in these inner palaces that she doesn't want to have anything to do with, but she's kind of getting drug into it. There's also a part of it that she has this massive geeky desire for anything medicine and research and concocting different medicines. So if there's like a twinge of something like a mystery or something that she is involved with, that she wants to get involved. She just can't help herself. The idea of having her own lab where she can make medicines just excites her to no end. She's just a lot of fun. Mao is absolutely fantastic. And again, because it's Aoyuki, she's just nailing the performances. And yes, this show gets extremely emotional. And I think episode 3 is a prime example of that. Just an absolutely beautifully portrayed story of a side character that just appears in one episode made me cry. It's kind of a culmination of all these different elements that comes together so beautifully. You have Kevin Pinkins doing the music for it. You have the directing work that's being done for it is absolutely phenomenal. And it all comes to this really emotional peaking point at the end of the third episode that just got me. There's this whole idea of the star-crushed lovers that come back together, and that reuniting just it hit me right in the stomach. It was just so beautifully portrayed. I highly recommend this series. It's pretty much already a contender for anime of the year for me. I just hope that it keeps up with this, and I'm loving every minute of it. And yes, drum roll, not a surprise to anybody that's been on my channel for more than 2 minutes, but drum roll, my number one anime of the season so far, no competition, nothing's gonna probably unseat it anytime soon, is Frieren Beyond Journey's End. This show is absolutely incredible. I love every single minute of it. Madhouse is doing an amazing job with this show. Fantastic directing work. We have the director behind Bocchi the Rock and Aka 13's doing directing for it. The budget being poured into it is absolutely insane. Madhouse is pulling out all the stops. They have an incredible musician who did Violet Evergarden and Mud Love Alternative. Just everything. This is like one of those cases where you see something's being adapted and you see who's working on it and you see what they're doing and you're like, what stars align to make this so incredible? And I'm loving every single minute of it. This is a show that when they announced the adaptation of it, I immediately looked into it, and I love the character designs and everything like that. And I read the beginning chapters, and I already got this sense of what this story was going to be doing. It is essentially about this Frieren, who's an elf, who went with this hero's party for 10 years, defeated the demon lord, came back home, and everybody kind of went on with their lives. They all kind of retired and went their own directions. And there's a sense here that Frieren herself never really paid much mind to it. Being an elf, she lives so long, she doesn't have really the same concept of time that everybody else does. So this mere 10 years was a lifespan for all these other individuals and so many different experiences that she didn't really pay much mind to. It just seemed like, okay, let's get this done. All right, I want to go back to finding magic. Her whole thing is that she loves finding spells. She just loves magic. And she's kind of going around just looking for different spells, and eventually it kind of dawns on her. With the passing of one of the party members, she finally discovers that was impactful to her, that she lost something. And there's this massive amount of regret that's hitting her in the idea that she didn't appreciate those moments as much as everybody else did. So it kind of turns into one of these things where she's essentially retreading the path of the hero's party and remembering all the different experiences that she had with them so that she can finally find to appreciate a lot of those moments with them. All the while she's joined with Fern and Stark, who are these individuals that were kind of hoisted upon her by the other party members that kind of help her keep this path, like keep her focused on what she needs to keep a focus on. Especially Fern, because Fern hates wasting time because she's human again, and Frieren has very little sense of time. And again, it's a very beautifully portrayed story of seeing those massive amount of regrets, seeing how important those moments were with her party members, seeing how her party members went pretty much above and beyond to essentially appease her, creating memories and experiences for a lifetime, which again, only now Frieren is kind of discovering. But yeah, visually, music, everything, animation, directing, everything is on point. This show is easily one of the most beautiful, most gorgeous shows I have watched in a long time. And I eat up every minute of it. I can't wait for each episode. It's just, it has me by the claws. But yeah, if you're not watching Frieren yet, please go watch it. It's phenomenal. And that is it. That is my top 10 favorite fall anime so far. Honorable mentions, I have Pluto. I'm still planning on watching Pluto. It's just going to be a full dump show as a recording of this in another day. So I didn't want to wait. I've been waiting long enough for making my top 10 list so far. I'm sure it's going to be amazing, but it's a full dump show that I'll probably cover on the side, but still gonna be watching that. I'm giving The Disgraced Noble Lady I Rescued a Crash Course in Naughtiness. I'm enjoying that show a lot. It's been a lot more fun than I thought it would be. Just really goofy, this guy pretty much forcing this pure girl to do naughty things in order to change her outlook on life. I love Shy. I think she's super cute. The story itself is not doing anything incredible. It's kind of just falling into a lot of the magical girl tropes, but I'm still enjoying it. Vexations of a Vampire Shut-In. That show is super fun. It's basically, let's turn this shut-in vampire into an idol, and she'll lead an army. And then it started getting dark, which I'm not sure if I'm liking the dark stuff so far, but I think she's fantastic. It's been a lot of fun watching her and her maid and all the things they're kind of forcing her into. It's got a little bit of an ecchi feel to it that I'm enjoying as well. A little bit of Yuri sense in there that I'm enjoying. So definitely looking forward to more of that. Shangri-La Frontier is just a lot of fun. I just cannot get enough of it. It's just action, dumb fun. I just love watching this guy break the game and do crazy stuff. The animation is just top notch. Overtake has been a lot of fun. That show is just really great characters, a lot of great drama, some really cool races in there as well. Just F4 racing with a sprinkle of characters on the side. It's a sports show that has good characters, and I love sports shows with great characters. And my last mention I'll do is God App. It's just weird. It's just dark and kind of disgusting, but I kind of like it. The animation CGI, that's not the greatest, but I'm enjoying it. It's just it's a death game, but just not really hold much back. And Yoko Taro does not hold things back, and so I'm enjoying that one. And of course, for returners and continuations, I'm still watching Spy Family second season. It had a weak episode his last week, but I'm still enjoying that show. It just has a lot of really great fun in there as well. Evanescence in Shadow second season, still enjoying that one. Saints Magic Powers Omnipotent, I'm so happy that show's back. Its second season has been really fantastic so far. Looking forward to more of that. Helk is still great, still keeping up on that one. Dark Gathering, absolutely incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Please go watch it. It's like the perfect show right now with Halloween going on right now. But yeah, definitely keep up on that one. Jujutsu Kaisen second season, I'm still watching that. Really incredible action scenes. Animation's been just phenomenal. Still going to be keeping up on Dr. Stone second season. Faraway Paladin second season. I haven't got a chance to watch that yet, but I'm sure it's going to be amazing. Arknights, Perish and Frost. The show is incredible. If you're not watching Arknights, please go watch Arknights. It's a super amazing show. And yes, Animal Girls and Jackets and Guns is always phenomenal, but the story is incredible. The emotion, the characters, what they're going through, it's too good. And I'm still loving Goblin Slayer second season. Still really fantastic. So Goblin Slayer second season has actually been getting a lot more gut punchy. That show has turned from like just watching him kill goblins and crazy kind of RPG kind of stuff to, okay, now we're getting into his character and what he's going through, which me personally, I have actually experienced quite a bit. I actually read the manga that gets into his past story, but that's been interesting. So that's it. That is the fall 2023 anime season. I hope you guys enjoy this video as always. Hopefully it saves you some time digging through massive amounts of anime. But it's been an incredible season. It's going to be very difficult to find something to drop because there's just a lot of really incredible stuff and just a lot of stuff that's got potential. It's got potential. Like even things like Kingdom of Ruins and Berserk of Gluttony's got potential there. So, but hopefully it helps you guys somehow. If you're not already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I've been doing pretty much first impressions of all the shows of the season, doing podcasts as well with my brother to talk over these shows as well. So if you're looking for a little deeper insight into each of these shows, definitely check that out. But I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, if you did, make sure that like button down below, comment, let me know what you think you would. Tell me what your top 10 most favorite anime of the season so far. I always love to hear from people. And plus, if people don't like my picks, they can always go down in the comments and get other people's picks. It's always a great way of kind of exchanging that stuff. But yes, if you like this content, you want to support the channel more, I have Patreon link, tips link, super thanks, membership button down below. Greatly appreciate it, but it does. And y'all take care.